And so all three of us get on the raft. And it felt wonderful. Until about 20 seconds later, I started feeling this really very uncomfortable feeling. I just figured I was imagining it, but it felt like, well, 1 foot into shore, 2 feet out. 1 foot into shore, 2 feet out. And this is a bad repetitive formula when you're on top of the ocean in Hawaii. So I look at Kristen, I look at Sean and said, are y'all feeling what I'm feeling? They go, uh-huh. And all of us jump off this thing and we start, I have never scissor kicked so hard in my entire life. And 20 minutes later, we had gone nowhere. A guy in a kayak comes out. It's obvious this guy's a lifeguard. He says, what in the world are y'all doing so far out here in the ocean? And I don't know if it's just his presence, but we start laughing at the situation. He is not laughing. He says, did you not see those huge orange balls that are sitting on top of the ocean, evenly spaced out, and there were a lot of them? We immediately looked at each other almost with whiplash, like, shut up, don't say anything. Because not only had we seen them, but we had even commented about how it's so cool in Hawaii, how they display art on top of the ocean. He said, those big orange balls, you're not supposed to go past them. In fact, they weren't huge from where we were from because we were 5 times past the distance. Now, the guy in the kayak actually, he didn't leave us, but he didn't get out and help us either. I think he was trying to teach us a lesson. And we began the long and grueling journey back into shore. And when I say long and grueling, I mean long and grueling. I've never experienced anything before or since that has been so demanding. I literally felt every ounce of energy just beginning to get less and less. I literally began to feel just lightheaded. I began to feel that everything I had was shutting down. I was on this side of the raft. My buddy Sean's in the back, and then Kristen's over here. And in fact, there were a few times I looked back, I thought we had lost Sean because there was no noise coming from Sean. I mean, Rudder Boy was a better rotor than a motor. And then Kristen, she had her Timex girl. She's over there saying about every 3 minutes, John, you got to kick harder. You got to kick harder. You're going to miss your flight. You're going to miss your flight. She could care less about that flight, but she did like me kicking really hard. And then, of course, we have Kayak Boy over here looking all pompous, like he's never done anything stupid in his entire life. And an hour and a half later, we eventually walked up onto shore. And I looked at Kristen, I looked at Sean. They were uncontrollably just shaking. I looked at them, and there was blood everywhere. You see, when you think you're drifting out to sea, the problem is that you will do anything to make traction when you finally can feel the bottom. The problem was there was coral all over the bottom. They looked at me, and I looked at them. I said, y'all look awful. They said, well, Blumberg, you don't look so great yourself. And I had no idea, but I looked down, there's the same condition, still shaking. And I'm sitting there thinking, right, because in the speaking industry, they say, there's never a bad experience, there's just another story, right? So I shared this. I shared it with Sean and Kristen. I said, y'all know that there's never a bad experience. They said, what are you talking about? This is horrible. I said, there's just another story. I thought they were going to kill me at that point. I also have always heard that with every experience, there's some lessons you can learn, but I wasn't seeing it. It would be 6 months later that I was doing a major keynote in Philadelphia, and it was solely for the first time ever just on core values. And for whatever reason, those big orange balls started coming back into focus. And I said, you know what? Those orange balls are just like our core values. And they're saying, I don't care what your vision is. If you go past this line, you will begin to drift. You see, we don't go running away from our values. We go drifting away. And one day we wake up in a place that we never meant to be, drifting in a direction we would have never chosen. And every single one of us in this room, I think, are vulnerable to the drift. The difference is that what you know, when you know what your core is, you will know sooner that you've left.